I want to start with something that sounds harsh, but is actually the kindest thing I can tell you. You can work incredibly hard and still go in circles. Not because you are lazy, not because you did not want it enough. You can wake up early, stay up late, give something everything you have got, and still end up almost exactly where you started, just more tired. And when that happens, almost everyone reaches for the same explanation. I must not be working hard enough, so they push harder. More hours, more grinding, more of the exact same thing. But here is the part nobody really says out loud. Sometimes the problem was never how hard you were pushing. It was the direction you were pushing in. Effort sets your floor, but something else entirely sets your ceiling. And almost nobody teaches you what it is. So today, I want to teach it, not as some secret successful people are hiding from you, just as the other half of work hard that somehow never makes it into the advice. Let us get into it. Welcome back. I am DuckTake. Quick clarification before I start, because this topic gets ruined constantly by people who turn it into a lecture about how everyone else is asleep and they are awake. That is not this. Think bigger is useless advice, and nobody ever widened their life because a stranger on the internet told them to. So here is the honest version. Working hard sets a floor under your life. It keeps you moving, it builds discipline, it matters. But how widely you can see a problem, that is what sets the ceiling. I call it width. But if that word feels vague, just think of it as your range of view. And range of view is not some abstract quality. It is a small set of very specific questions you can learn to ask. Who understands this better than me? What system am I actually inside right now? What incentive is shaping this situation? And what am I failing to see simply because everyone around me sees the exact same thing? That is the whole episode. Effort is the floor. Your range of view is the ceiling. And the good news, which I will keep coming back to, is that your range of view is learnable. It is the most learnable thing there is. School trains effort, it never once trains this. Let me tell you about the most pointlessly exhausting month I have ever put myself through. There was a stretch a few years ago where I had decided the answer to everything was simply to work harder. Things were not going the way I wanted, and I was completely certain I knew the fix: more effort. So I went all in. I woke up earlier. I stayed up later. I did more of the exact same things I was already doing, just faster and for longer. And at the end of that month, I was absolutely fried, burnt out, short-tempered, running on caffeine and stubbornness, and almost nothing had changed. It took me an embarrassingly long time to understand why. I had spent the entire month getting better at how fast I did the thing. I never once stopped to ask whether it was the right thing to be doing at all. I was sprinting, and I was very proud of how fast I was sprinting, and I never checked whether I was even pointed at anything. That is the trap I want to talk you out of today, because grinding harder in the wrong direction is not noble. It is just a faster way to get tired. Let me make that concrete, because effort versus thinking stays abstract until you see it. Picture two people both trying to grow something online, both posting videos, both genuinely working hard. The first person pours all of their energy into one question: how do I make this faster? Edit quicker, post more often, grind out more volume. Every ounce of effort goes into doing more of the same thing. The second person works just as hard, but aims some of that energy at completely different questions. Why do people actually watch this kind of thing? How does the platform decide what to show? What makes someone come back instead of scrolling past? What is the thing underneath the thing? On any given day, they look identical, both busy, both tired. But a year later, it shows, because one has been repeating a task and the other has been widening their picture of how the whole thing works, and the second person is not smarter. They just happen to aim some effort one level up. And that is a thing you can choose to do on purpose. The exhausting part of narrow work is that it asks your body to carry everything. A wider range of view lets you use leverage instead: tools, systems, other people, timing. That is why some people seem to work less and get more. Not because they care less, but because they stop trying to lift the whole thing with raw effort. Effort sets your floor. The questions you are willing to ask set your ceiling. Here is the second piece, and it is subtler than it sounds. A lot of opportunities are not hidden. They are sitting in plain sight. The reason some people see them, and some do not, usually comes down to the size of the world they are thinking inside of. If everything around you, your family, your job, the people you scroll past, quietly tells you there is one path and one way things work, it becomes genuinely hard to imagine anything else. And that is not a personal flaw. That is just what environments do to all of us. We mistake the edge of what we have been exposed to for the edge of what is possible. Two people can live through the same moment in history and see completely different worlds, purely because of what each of them has been allowed to see. So the fix is not think bigger. That is empty. The fix is to widen what you are actually exposed to: new people, new fields, new kinds of information, voices that disagree with the ones you grew up around. And notice, this has nothing to do with travel or money. You do not have to go anywhere. You have to be willing to step outside your usual circle and let in information that does not already match what you believe. Because the real trap was never being broke. The real trap is living for years inside a single information environment, hearing one version of how things work until you genuinely believe it is the only version there is. Let us pause and actually answer this one in your head. Think of the thing you are working hardest at right now, the thing you are pouring the most hours into. Now ask, honestly, am I working on doing it faster? Or have I ever stopped to ask whether it is the right thing? That is the whole check. Most of us, almost all the time, are optimizing speed on a road we never actually chose. There is nothing wrong with you for that. It is the default for everyone. But noticing it is the entire move. Okay, back to it. Third idea, and this one quietly changes how people work for the rest of their lives. There is a belief a lot of us absorb growing up. If I just work hard enough, success is basically guaranteed. Hard work matters, truly. But modern life mostly stopped rewarding raw endurance a while ago. It rewards understanding how a system runs. Two people open the same kind of small business. Say, a little coffee shop. The first spends every day asking, how do I sell a few more cups today? Good question. Exhausting question, because the answer resets to zero every single morning. The second asks a different set, why do people choose this place over the one down the street? How does a regular become a regular? Where do new customers actually come from? And how do I make that repeatable? They are not just doing the work anymore. They are building something underneath the work, something that keeps running on the days they are not personally pushing it. And this is not about being some galaxy-brained entrepreneur. It is gentler than that. It is about not being the single bottleneck of your own life, when everything depends on you grinding personally, every day, forever. That is not strength. That is a trap that happens to feel like virtue. So a lot of the time, the issue was never that you were not working hard enough. You became the bottleneck because nobody ever showed you the level above the task. Fourth, and this one is quieter, more about character than tactics. Underneath all of this is a single capacity. Can you accept that the world is more complicated than your current picture of it? Watch what happens when things go wrong. The instinct, completely human, is to blame the situation, and sometimes that is correct. Sometimes the situation genuinely is stacked against you, and pretending otherwise is its own kind of lie. I am not going to tell you every failure is your fault, because that is the guru version of this, and it is cruel and untrue. But here is the question that actually opens a door, instead of the one that just feels good. Is there something here I do not understand yet? Not I am a failure. Not the world is unfair, and that is the end of it. Just, is there a piece of this I cannot see from where I am standing? People who keep growing are not people who never get knocked down. They are just people who do not get permanently stuck inside the feeling. They let themselves be upset, and then they get curious about what they might be missing. Money has its own logic. People have patterns. Systems can be understood. The moment you start treating those as things you can learn rather than forces that just happen to you stop having to power through life on pure force. Fifth, and this is why the whole thing matters more now than it used to. I am not going to do the scary version of this. The robots are coming, adapt or die. Fear is a terrible teacher. Here is the calmer truth instead. As more repetitive work gets handled by machines, the things that stay valuable are judgment, taste, and the ability to connect ideas across different fields. Basically, range of view. For a long time, the world paid for physical effort. Then it paid for credentials. Increasingly, it pays for how you think. But let me sharpen that, because how you think is still vague. The valuable skill is not knowing everything. It is being able to update your picture of a situation faster than your old habits can defend it. Most people, when new information shows up, spend their energy protecting what they already believed. The people who pull ahead spend that same energy changing their mind quickly when the facts change. And that is genuinely good news, because updating is the most learnable skill there is. You can absolutely change how fast you are willing to update. Okay, let me bring this home. And I want it to land soft, because the whole point of this episode is relief, not pressure. Working hard matters, I am not taking that from you. But effort without range of view has a way of turning into something sad, running faster and faster on a track you never chose and calling the exhaustion proof that you tried. The difference between people was never simply who pushed hardest, it is who could see a little further, understand a little deeper, and update a little faster. So the biggest growth in a life is not learning to keep your head down and grind. It is learning every so often to lift your head and look at the road. Because here is the thing I most want you to leave with. A lot of the ceilings you think you are hitting are not real ceilings at all. They are just the current edge of what you can see. And edges move. Not all at once. Not magically. But every time you let a better question, a better person, or a better model into your life, the edge moves a little. So before I let you go, let us make this concrete because a wider view is useless if it stays a vibe. Here is your lookup audit. 3 questions. Answer them about one real thing in your life right now. Notes app. Out loud. Whatever is closest. 1. What am I trying to do faster? And is faster even the thing that would help? 2. What system am I inside that I do not fully understand yet? 3. Who or what could widen my view this week? A person, a field, a source I would normally scroll right past. That is it. Question 1 catches you grinding. Question 2 points you at the level above the task. Question 3 is the actual move, because your range of view does not widen by thinking harder. It widens by letting something new in. You are not failing because you lack effort. You may just need a better angle. So look up once in a while. Not to compare, not to panic, just to check you are still pointed at something you actually chose. I am DuckTake, and this is your reminder, same as always, you are not behind. You are under construction. I will catch you in the next one.